Hello everybody and welcome to Car Confections. So sitting right behind me is the 2023 all-new GMC Canyon, and this is the AT4 trim level. So we're super excited to give you a first look at this all-new GMC Canyon, see if it fully stacks up against something like a Toyota Tacoma. So let's get things started here with the exterior. Now, first walking up to this truck, I really like the way this looked. This has a very handsome design. It also looks a lot tougher than the outgoing model. Now let's talk a little bit about what you're gonna get here in the front. So there's gonna be 4 trim levels for this new generation of the Canyon. So you still have the same 3 that you had offered before. We also now have an AT4X trim level for the very first time. That takes the off-road ability to the maximum for this vehicle. But one of the things that makes this look a lot more substantial than your average midsize truck is actually the ground clearance. So before we talk about this fascia, let's talk about the ground clearance. This actually comes standard with a 2-inch lift for every single trim level of the Canyon versus, of course, the previous generation, which didn't have any lift at all. The AT4X will have a 3-inch lift, and that one will have 10.7 inches of ground clearance as a maximum. So it gets you over top of all those off-road obstacles. Now, as far as the standard version of the AT4X, which is what we're looking at right now, we've got a nice squared off, typical GMC grille. We've got a dark gray finish on board, big branding, AT4. And then, of course, coming over here to our headlights, these have really moved upscale. Very nice look to these. We've got LED headlights. These are going to be projector LED headlights, and we also have the really cool bracket-shaped LED turn signal indicator and daytime running light. That's kind of in 2 separate housings, but it looks like one piece when it's all put together. And then you have your LED fog lamps built right into this beefy bumper. Now we moved on to the side, and let's take a look at the wheels. As you can see, we do have a nice looking contrast alloy wheel. This is an 18-inch alloy with the AT4 trim level, and we also have it wrapped in some all-terrain tires. So these are a little bit tougher than what you get on, say, something like the Denali trim level. Now Mason can kind of back up a little bit here and look at the truck as a whole, but like I was saying with the front end design, this really has that signature boxy look from GMC. You've got things like your squared off wheel arches. You have these flared fenders, which look really nice overall in the back and in the front. And as far as the cabin bed configuration, that's a big thing for this next generation Canyon. This, as you see it here, is the only way you can get this model now. So it's going to be the 4-door crew cab with the short or standard length bed. Now we're here at the back of this all-new GMC Canyon. I have to say this is one handsome-looking truck from the rear as well. So as you can see, GMC is actually throwing in several design elements. Typically pickup trucks are pretty cut and paste, but this actually has a lot of different details going on in the tailgate, which I'm a really big fan of. It has a lot of 3-dimensional design. And then we do also have our big GMC branding right here. Canyon is going to be underneath of that. And then looking down at the lower bumper area, this is going to be a nice body color finish. I do like that. A lot of trucks will just give you the matte finish. And you're also going to notice that this right here, these are the integrated side steps to help you get into the bed a lot easier. Speaking of the bed, let's go ahead and pop that open. As you can see, we do have a dampened tailgate. And once that lowers, as Drew mentioned, this is just your standard bed configuration. That's going to be the only way you can get the Canyon right now. But we do have a nice bed liner down here, GMC branding up in the top. And let me demonstrate the step here for those of you. You have a little hand grip, and you just easily get into the bed like so. But let's go ahead and climb inside of this cabin. GMC's really made a big move upscale. Ugh. Wow, that's quite a step up here. Wanted to get inside so I would turn off that beeping, but GMC has really made a big move upscale with this new model. Like we said on the outside, this is the AT4 trim level, so this is not even the maximum luxury. You will be able to get the Denali trim level, and that's gonna have all types of luxury goodies. I'll try to point out some of the special things for the Denali and AT4, but first I'll go ahead and invite Mason inside the cabin so you guys can get a good look at everything. Now, in typical Car Confections fashion, we like to talk about the interior materials first of all, so let's do that. Taking a look here at our door trim, we do have a nice leather wrapped armrest here with a stitching detail. This is kind of a brown color contrast leather through here, and a stitch leather right in the middle section with a faux carbon fiber accent. The top portion of this door trim though is going to still be a hard touch on the AT4 at least. We do have two-person memory seating, and it looks like our front window is one-touch auto up and down. The upper parts of the dashboard, these are going to be finished in a hard touch plastic, but as we move down to the lower part, we've got a nice, look like aluminum accent through here, more of this faux carbon fiber, AT4 branding, and I do want to point out the Denali trim level would substitute this in for an etched wood trim, kind of like that upscale version of the Sierra. We've got a leather through here with the stitching detail, and we even have some leather down here on the bottom part with a padding detail. So overall, pretty nice and visually and as far as the materials are concerned in this midsize truck. Let's take a look now at some technology, because this is very important as well. Standard on every version of this next generation Canyon is an 8-inch digital gauge cluster. You also have an available 11-inch digital gauge cluster, which would pretty much fill out this entire space if you choose the high-end trim levels. Looking at the steering wheel, very nice look. This is a new GMC design. I've never seen this in any of their other trucks or models yet. As you can see, modern look, kind of squared off. We do have steering wheel heating with the AT4. The wheel itself is going to be manual tilt and telescoping. Let's take a look at the storage. Inside of here, we have a removable tray. And inside of that, we have a much larger storage area. That's plenty of space for a pretty big stack of coupons, I'd say. We also, you'll notice, have this camouflage design that's repeated in the cup holders as well as this front storage area. And I do believe this can be a wireless phone charging pad up here. And you've got your two USB ports. Now, obviously we're indoors, so I don't have the vehicle engine turned on, but when you go into reverse, you do have the availability of a 360-degree camera system. And in addition to that, that has an underbody camera for off-roading, and that is a first in the segment. We've got some buttons here with some nice looking vents, dual zone automatic climate control. I'm also noticing heated and ventilated seats, so that's pretty rare in the midsize truck segment to have some premium features like that. Now, speaking of premium technology features, 11.3-inch infotainment system. This is a very nice looking display, huge upgrade over what you have in the current generation, and since it's running the latest Android-based software, you have wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay. And I did fail to mention earlier, but we also have a head-up display. That's here on the AT4, and it's also going to be on the Denali trim level as well. Up top on the dash, you'll see Bose branding because we do have a Bose premium audio system, auto dimming mirror, and this is a very important thing I want to highlight today. If you remember the previous generation, you could not get a sunroof, which I thought was a big oversight. Now you can get a standard size sunroof.
Now I need to talk about the rear seats. Now, of course, in a truck, mid-sized truck like this, you're not going to have a massive rear seat, and that of course is going to continue for this all-new model just because it's, you know, not as big as a full-size truck. These seats are adjusted all the way back, so do keep that in mind. I don't have a lot of additional leg room back here, but overall the seat itself is a lot more comfortable than the previous generation, and I do really like the detailing. I know we didn't quite talk about this in the front, but the details are really nice in the front and the back. You have all that nice color contrast piping, stitching, you have some perforations in the middle. And if we look as far as our features, we do have two cup holders. We're also going to have vents, which is a nice touch. Most midsize trucks do not offer anything like that, plus two USB ports, and down at the bottom, we also have a household style outlet. So this Canyon is really going upscale when it comes to the interior. We also have a fold down armrest with two cup holders inside, and your door trim in the back is going to be mostly hard touch, but you do have some nice brown leather accenting as well. Now you're like, Mason, what powers this GMC Canyon? There is some big news here under the hood. The 3.6 liter V6 is gone, as well as the diesel option. So all of the Canyons are going to be powered by a 2.7 liter turbo 4-cylinder. Now there are three different power outputs. So it starts at 237 horsepower, goes all the way up to 310 horsepower for the higher output version. 430 pound-feet of torque though, so that's certainly a lot of torque. You've sampled this out and seen it in other GM product, so this is definitely going to be enough power to power this midsize truck. You're also going to have an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, as far as the pricing is concerned for this GMC Canyon, we expect the prices to start around $40,000. If you fully load it up and go for an AT4X model with all the options on it, you're going to be looking at about $63,000. So it is going to be pushing the limits in terms of the pricing for the midsize truck segment, but trucks are getting a lot more expensive nowadays, and I have to say, we were very impressed at the interior of this model. They really have bumped it upscale. But guys, if you enjoyed watching this video and found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It helps get us invited to stuff like this, like auto shows where we can show you some of the newest cars first. So please go ahead, subscribe, follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.